there are growing markets which are in Bangladesh, Nepal, Southeast Asia. Those are all, and Bangladesh economy is doing well, and they are a land of rivers, so more of corrosion. So it will have more of zinc, galvanization in their country. So our nearby country will have good future for zinc, I see. So every time commodities happens, then correspondingly, shipping goes up, container shortage happens. And now actually there is a pent-up demand which will come into the market. That is my expectation. So this cycle will continue for some more time.
So how long do you think that is going to be?
Maybe a year or another couple of years. We are spending money for completely digitalizing all the mines, because underground mines you can't see from the surface otherwise. And so we have already about 70% of our two big mines, which is Agucha mine, which is world's largest lead zinc mine, and SK mine, which is world's third largest lead zinc mine. Both the mines are about 70% now completely Wi-Fi enabled, high-speed bandwidth Wi-Fi enabled inside the mine. So that's something governments to ponder on and think, because at the most you have Hindustan Zinc, strategic company. Government has 1/3 stake in the company. It is not a 100% private company, and it's something for government to think of. Why export the material and when we need in India and we can supply.
So you captured more of the market. Your market share in silver has gone up.
Market share gone up because
is that quantified?
Silver market share we are not quantifying, but yes, we are should be close to more. Normally we are 10 to 12%, but this time we might be around 30% or so.
Okay, so you basically 1/3 of your profit comes from silver, and the remaining mostly from zinc, etc. And for those of you who are wondering what is LME, it's the exchange in London which sets the benchmark for global commodity prices. So when the price goes up there, pretty much all commodity players, the miners, etc., benefit from it, because that's the price at which they tend to sell. The prices across the world move in tandem with the price set at the London exchange. Therefore, I guess I'll come back to the point that you made earlier, which is there are still risks. This is a once in a generation. I don't know. I mean, ever since the Chinese Olympics got over, I think this is the commodity upcycle, the first one that we are seeing. And therefore, what are the opportunities and what are the risks that you're seeing in the near future?
So it's a mixed bag, I should say, because every economy is trying to readjust itself to the new realities of COVID. US has just done a more or less successful vaccination, but in last 2 weeks report again the infections are high. But it's good news. I saw yesterday that even the Fox News has also started supporting vaccination. So more and more people are vaccinated. So that's a change, because people are realizing, because they publish the data, that all the recent deaths which have happened, 99.9% of them who are not vaccinated. So that is proving the thing that vaccination is the only way to go. Europe is of course vaccinated and they are going well on vaccination drive. US is started distributing vaccines for countries around India. India by itself is doing well. And good thing about India is every corporate is almost taken a promise that they will do 100% vaccination of their own employees, contractor workers and families. So it is being driven very hard, because every industry understands without vaccination there is no other way apart from wearing mask and social
Absolutely. I mean, and that is true for pretty much every sector, right? I mean, anyone, anywhere. But I'm talking about sort of focusing on your businesses, that of metals and mining. And from a business cycle, as in obviously the demand side is one part of it. And anything else that can go wrong, I don't know, dollars, interest rates, container shortage, I don't know, anything and everything that could have happened, has gone wrong in the last 1 year.
So every time commodities happens, then correspondingly, shipping goes up, container shortage happens. And now actually there is a pent-up demand which will come into the market. That is my expectation. So this cycle will continue for some more time.
So how long do you think that is going to be?
Maybe a year or another couple of years, because every country will take another 6 months to come out of the COVID effect, and then they have to spend heavily on infrastructure just to ensure that people earn a living and keep the economy. People who are down on the GDP rates, most of the countries -3%, If they have to go to plus 6%, it is a 9% journey. So that 9% people have to spend, right?
Yeah. And who are your biggest customers in that sense, Mr. Mishra?
So in India, if we look at, government will spend more for galvanized rails, because government cannot afford now, with the money that are pumping in, to continuously replace rails because they get corroded. Most, about 25-30% rails get corroded in India and hence to be replaced. The moment they start doing the galvanization of the railways, that will reduce the expenditure that we do after railways, and the railways have taken a decision. We are working with steel rail makers, and that will be the huge area. Then the highways that you do, there are so many old bridges which are still continuing from British times, that need to be replaced, and replaced with galvanized structures. All the factories nowadays, they are doing, everybody is talking of galvanized structures. The power lines that are going on are all galvanized structures that is going in. So in India, overall, the zinc increase should be anywhere between 7 to 8% going forward for next about 5 to 6 years, if the focus of government remains on the infrastructure sector. With the huge amount of money government is trying to pump in, I'm very upbeat on that part. So I don't see any reduction in the domestic demand. Even in July, it is far better than what it was in June. Our supply in the domestic sectors are going up, and our exports are reducing.
A fifth of your business, 20% of your business comes from exports, right?
20%, roughly about 20% to 25%. It varies, the domestic between 70% to 80%.
So, are you hoping that pie will go up in the next year or two?
Domestic pie will go up, surely. Domestic pie will go up both for zinc as well as lead. Exports we have to do because we produce, otherwise not a very remunerative market as far as exports are concerned. There are growing markets which are in Bangladesh, Nepal, Southeast Asia. Those are all, and Bangladesh economy is doing well, and they are a land of rivers, so more of corrosion. So we will have more of zinc galvanization in their country. So our nearby country will have good future for zinc, I see.
So, do you want to talk about how much of your business from Bangladesh has grown in the recent past? How much have you benefited from the economic boom there?
We have just entered Bangladesh, looking at its there's possibility and directly entering. So we are not yet a big mover inside Bangladesh as of now, but we are sure looking at Bangladesh and Southeast Asia as a big base where, and our growth plan.
Talk to us a little bit about what your plans are. I mean, how soon do you want to? How much do you want to invest?
So we were putting up that 300,000 tons smelter on the coast-based smelter in Gujarat, primarily looking at that geography from Bangladesh to Southeast Asia. That geography we would cater, because the concentrate is flowing from Africa and other parts of the world through these to Korea and becoming Korea zinc, and then getting into the Southeast Asia. We could stop that traffic midway and do it in Gujarat, and then convert to metal and then supply to Southeast Asia, which is growing very fast and very stable economies as of now.
Is there a monetary, is there a financial commitment towards this, towards the Bangladesh market and Southeast Asia?
So entire 300,000 ton that would produce, maybe 70% of that, roughly about 200,000 would go to Southeast Asia. If that whenever that new project comes up, currently we are going through environment clearance procedures and all that. Once that is through, we'll come to public with the investment numbers.
Amazing. And you also have, is this part of your $100 million expansion plan that you have already spoken about?
No. This $100 million is for all the completing the $1.2 million plan, and also some of the facilities that need to go right now to close the entire 1.2 million plan.
Oh, okay. Then amazing. So how is there one of the things, and we are talking in the shadow of the Zomato IPO, which has pretty much captured everyone's imagination in the market. So I think the buzzword these days is technology upgradation, etc. And I know you have been spending a little bit of money there. You want to talk about where you're spending it, how much, and what kind of benefits you're seeing within Hindustan Zinc?
So we are spending money for completely digitalizing all the mines, because underground mines you can't see from the surface otherwise. And so we have already about 70% of our two big mines, which is Agucha mine, which is world's largest lead zinc mine, and SK mine, which is world's third largest lead zinc mine. Both the mines are about 70% now completely Wi-Fi enabled. high-speed bandwidth Wi-Fi enabled inside the mine. The equipment are transmitting data online, and the data is getting captured both at control rooms at the mines as well as in our control tower at our HO. And a lot of data analytics goes on, which predicts the failures, which monitors the cycle times and gives prompt feedback for decision making. And we want to do that on all the mines. That means all the Jawar mine, Rajpura Dariba mine, and all other mines. Similarly, we are now investing in automated process controls in the mills, where the mill control room nobody has to operate. The control room by itself with artificial intelligence will decide the strategy, what to do, what to set, what material is coming. So these are the technology areas we are investing in, and the money is a good amount of money that will go in, anywhere between 30 to 40 million dollars will be invested in entire technology.